Hi, everybody. This is Steve Kamanapali. Welcome back. There are three expectations of a trustee that are legally recognized globally: the duty of care, the duty of loyalty, and the duty of obedience. As a fiduciary or board member, you have an obligation to stakeholders. The duty of loyalty is a standard of faithfulness to the organization. The fundamental duty of loyalty owed by a board member is the duty to give undivided allegiance to the organization when making decisions about the organization. Now, basically, the duty of loyalty requires directors and officers to act in the best interests of the nonprofit at all times, never letting their personal interest above that of the nonprofit. Many nonprofits have their board members sign an annual conflict of interest statement each year in which they specify any potential conflicts. The internet shows numerous examples of conflict of interest statements for nonprofits. Just Google it and you'll get 19 million hits on nonprofit conflict of interest statements that you could look at. But here are some things that you can think of as a board member. Number one, you can ask them for full disclosure to the board. A board member must fully disclose any personal interest in potential transactions before action is taken. Now, in the West, for example, courts have found directors in breach of their fiduciary responsibility when the organization deposited funds, for example, into a bank for which the director was associated but had failed to communicate that association to the nonprofit. Another thing that you could ask your board members to perform is unbiased board decision-making regarding the transaction. The interested director should not be present when the vote is taken and preferably absent during any pre-vote discussion. Here's another thing that you can ask for: a fair transaction for the organization. The transaction must be fair to the organization. For example, if a director was going to sell a piece of property to the organization, it would have to be worth no more than the verifiable market value. Board members should be expected to be clear and demonstrate absence of any self-dealing. A director could be found to be self-dealing if he caused a nonprofit to rent office space in a building that he owned, for example. No board member or senior manager should take advantage of organizational opportunities. Interested parties should be isolated from the discussion and decision. Now, as I noted earlier, if you haven't already, you should ask your board members to sign a conflict of interest statement every year. That's the duty of loyalty. Now, finally, the duty of obedience. The duty of obedience requires board members and officers to act in accordance with nonprofit policies, articles of incorporation, bylaws, and to comply with the laws of the land. It goes without saying that the duty of obedience also assumes that the nonprofit board members will be true to the organization's mission. In summary, among the other responsibilities of a board member, there are three broad and very important legal responsibilities. If you need outside help because you don't feel familiar in a certain area, I would encourage you: find the right people. Take the time and trouble to find people who could help you out with accounting, with legal, with finance, or whatever expertise that you need. In closing, let me ask you this: do you have a conflict of interest statement? Are you consulting with a CPA or a lawyer when needed? These are some of the questions that you should be thinking about in your board meeting today. And I hope you have a great board meeting.